This is how a Samsung S22 Ultra looks when it's broken. On this video, you're going to learn how to fix this by yourself. One day you're hiking the Mount Everest and the next day you realize you broke the phone in the process. Don't worry, if this happened to you, I'm here to help you. This phone is broken on the front, so we cannot have access to all our contacts or videos because obviously the screen is blacked out. All we have is some lines. We don't have any clear visual, I could say, but this will be solved by replacing the screen. Let's grab our new screen. Here is our new screen, and this is the best way to purchase this screen, because if you buy the screen by itself, will not have that beautiful seal that is being only done by factories. As you guys can see, this come attached with the metal frame, and we're gonna be changing it over to this one. So what we're gonna need for this process: Phillips screwdriver, use some razor blades, gonna use some B7000 glue. If you don't have this type of glue, you can also use double-side tape. And for opening the phone, we are going to use a heating mat. If you don't have this type of heating mat, especially not this dirty, you can use a hair dryer or a heat gun. So let's begin with this repair. To begin with this repair, we're going to remove the back glass of this phone so we gain access on the back and we are able to remove all the inner components and transfer to the new one. We are going to use our heating mat for this process, and I'm gonna lay my phone flat like so. So I'm gonna wait for this to get warm. If you touch it and it's getting warm, it's ready to start the process. So let me just leave it here for a few minutes and I'll be right back. All right, this phone feels already warm. Let's begin. If you guys have the back glass already broken, you don't need to worry about being so careful during this process. But in this case, I'm gonna try my best not to break it more than what it is. We're gonna grab our razor blade, and our goal is gonna be to create a little separation between the glass and the frame, enough to slide my playing card. Let's begin. On this corner right here, you see we create a very small gap, enough to slide in my playing card. All right, and we're gonna begin to just slide it. We're gonna slice it like so all the way around. Here we're gonna have some more cracks, I believe. All right, if it's warm enough, we can start to just remove it. You don't have to worry, there is no connection attached to the motherboard. Just plain like, and that back glass, it's going to be removed in no time. All right, it looks good, and we just have a little piece right here, stick, and that's how you remove your back glass from the S22 Ultra. All right, let's put that back glass on the side. I'm also gonna put my heating mat on the side. I don't need it as for now, and I'm going to continue with this phone. We have screws holding down speakers and some other components on the top and on the bottom. Now it's time to remove those. I advise you to keep all the screws in order, because sometimes some screws are different sizes. If you put one on a different place, you could end up piercing your new screen and you're gonna be having a bad day at that point. All right, we removed all the screws. I'm gonna grab again my razor blade and I'm going to start to remove these plastics and metal shields on the top. First, we're trying to get access to the battery. So if we unplug the battery to disconnect all the remaining cables, let's do that. So we have on the bottom, we have the speakers. We have also two connections attached to this part, which is the NFC connector and NFC inductor. Now we got access and we can remove the battery, or at least unplug it for now. We have three main cables running from the motherboard to the LCD and also to the charging port. Let's unplug all those cables. For my experience, I could do this with my razor blade. For you, I would recommend like a plastic tweezer or any plastic pry tools that you can get your hands on it, just to unplug these cables. That's 2, 3, and we can go up to 4 right here. And the bottom, we have the LCD flex cable. We have the charging port. After those, we are going to remove our charging port out of this phone. Let's remove those 3 screws. At this point, if you haven't, because I haven't told you, we need to remove our SIM tray out of this phone. With the help of Goku, we are going to remove that SIM tray. SIM tray is out. Using our same plastic tweezers, we're going to remove this charging port. Let's move on to the top. We have a few remaining cables right here that we're going to unplug. Now let's remove this plastic piece. And now we have the front camera. We remove most of the parts out of this phone, and now we always gonna check if we have any other screw holding down this motherboard. Is gonna come out along with the camera and this sensor right here, which is used for many other features. Okay, out of the bloom, I spy one more screw right there. So that was the last screw, and now I think we are ready just to extract our motherboard. Let's give it a try. All right, it came out just like that. Nice and easy. Let's put this precious piece on the side. We have a few more other components to remove from this to transfer into the new one. Let's start by these antennas, which are used for some type of 5G connectivity. We have one on this side, which is held by 2 screws. And to remove it is really easy. Just pull it off. It's just held down by a very, very little piece of adhesive. And we have another one on this other side, but this one is just held down by adhesive. Let's try to remove it and see if it's difficult or not. It just came out just like that. We can move on to the camera. We have a little camera here, and we have also the speaker, the ear speaker. It's held down by 2 screws. Let's remove those 2. Now we can extract it. We have only 2 pieces remaining for this phone. We have the battery, which is this big piece right here, and we have the front camera right here. Also, for these 2 pieces, we are going to go back to our heating mat and warm up this phone for a little bit, because it's not easy to remove them without heat. Like I said, if you don't have this type of equipment, you can use a hair dryer or a heat gun. I'm gonna let this warm up once again, and I'll be right back. After enjoying a delicious cup of coffee, we are back. Now this phone again is warm. Let's remove the battery. I'm gonna use a very strong tool like this, because when you try with this one, it's very easy for it to bend like that, and maybe it can pierce the battery. But if it's a little bit thicker, it's less risk for you to pierce the battery. So let's use this one. Let's start from the bottom, because we have a bigger gap right here than the sides. The sides are pretty tight. I cannot even slide my tool in between there. All right, let's just give it a push. All right. And the battery is gonna come out just like that. If you see wrinkles, don't worry. You can always just flat your battery just like so. It's very difficult to remove these batteries without getting any wrinkles, and most of the time it's gonna have a very tiny wrinkles like that, so it's gonna be fine. Let's move on to the camera. This camera, you see, is glued down in the frame. How I have it right here is really hot. We just gonna need the help maybe for our old tweezers that we just used, and see if it's trying to give up. Don't pull it so hard on the cable. You can knock off the flex out of the camera. That's gonna be a bad day. All right, we can also try our razor blade and just come out from one side just like so, you see, and it's gonna release, and that's it. That's your front camera safely removed. All right, let's put our heating mat on the side. We don't need it at this time. Okay, let's check out our process. Let's bring up our new screen and see if we are missing something. And also, you can always compare these two screens. If there is any difference between them, you might have to go back and revisit if the part is the correct part. All right, let's begin with the installation of all our parts into the new frame. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Now we're gonna repeat the same process, just in reverse. Okay, let's begin. We have the ear speaker. Let's install it right here. I hope you remember how it goes. If you don't remember how it goes, you can always rewind the video. Ear speaker is held down by 2 screws. There you go. And the top, we don't have nothing else. So at this point, we can just go ahead and install our motherboard. Grabbing from the bottom to the top, and you can just drop it like that. Yes, we're gonna install our motherboard because there is other small pieces that we're gonna need to install, and they are connected to the motherboard. Here is the camera. The front camera is one of them. Here we have, I believe this is for the stylus, this connection right here. We have a little antenna that also just connects to the motherboard, and the stylus, and this is how the phone knows the stylus is inside. Let's go to the bottom of this phone. Let's install our charging port. Here is our charging port, and we are going to lay this flat on the bottom of our phone. Don't put too much pressure, it will fall in place by itself. And remember, this is held down just by 3 screws. There we go. Next, we are going to put the battery on place. Good thing this came already with adhesive pre-installed. If you don't have pre-installed adhesive, you can always have on hand your own double-side tape ready to install these parts just like that. But this one luckily came with the adhesive. Let's just place our battery, and it's gonna look just like that. All right, we are looking beautiful. This phone is falling in place nicely. Okay, let's connect some cables. We have a bunch of cables to connect, and let's connect them. First, we're gonna bring the big guy, which is these fat cables that go from here to the motherboard, and the skinny one goes on the side. When you see the arrow going and it says main, that is the place where you're gonna connect this to the motherboard, and the bottom part is gonna say sub. All right, our main cable for the LCD, which is the piece that we are replacing, goes on the right. All right, I always use the help of maybe like the tweezers. I could just push it down easily. Especially if your fingers are big, sometimes you have trouble just plugging in these small Lego type cables. But when you help yourself with a flat tool like this, it's gonna be just a little easier. You're gonna hear the clicky noise, and with disconnect nice and flat. All right. Always try your best to align the cables so you don't damage the FPC connector on the motherboard, because that's gonna be a very sad day if that happened. And the last one. There we go. all we have left from these big cables is one of the antennas on the side. Slide it in, bring it to its own, and we are going to put these 2 screws to hold it back on place. There we go, that is one. Let's go for the second one. All right, that's 2 screws. Now we're going to connect it. This is almost done. We have almost finished this phone in no time. You guys are working really fast. I'm impressed. All right, let's put one screw that is holding down the camera right here on the side. That screw just gonna give more tight grip to the motherboard. Let's grab one more piece. That plastic piece, that it looks like a sensor right here. I'm always intrigued to find out what all these little pieces are. All right, we have that one connected there. Let's install our last piece, which is the loudspeaker and the NFC inductor right here. Okay, at this point we're going to connect our battery. There you go. Last 2 cables to connect are gonna be the one from the NFC inductor. All right, we have one here and one on the top. Both of them right there together. All right, now let's secure all these connections with the screws. Let's put them back. And our last one. Our job here is done. All we have left now is to install the back glass. So before we install our back glass, we can always test our phone, turn it on, and see how our new screen is working. Let's press the power button. Our new screen is looking nice and crispy. That's what we were expecting from this repair. Okay, now that we see our screen is working fine, let's just glue the back glass and be done with it. For this step, we can have it done 2 ways. We can use double-side tape, remove this double-side tape, and put it around. Or we can use B7000. As you guys can see, this part is already broken, and also the tape is already damaged. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use B7000. I'm gonna highly recommend to replace this part. If you replace that part, if in case you do, we have another pieces that we have to replace from here into the new one, but that's for another video. Let's just apply some B7000 on this back glass and put it back. The difference between the B7000 and the double-side tape, for the B7000, we're gonna have to use some of the clamps just to hold it tight. Meanwhile, the glue dries out. If you don't have this type of clamp, there is other type of clamps that you can maybe purchase like a Home Depot or places like so. Probably we're gonna have to order this back glass for this one on the future, but before, we always like to make sure the front screen gets fixed first. Let's leave this right here for a few minutes and we'll be right back. Don't forget to insert your SIM card back into your phone and start calling all your friends to show them your new skill fixing phones. Now this phone is being repaired completely. If this video helped you to fix your phone, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so don't miss notification on future videos. Also, leave a like and I'll see you back in the next video. Bye now.